Welcome to Digital Dramatics production of Lady Windermere's Fan by Oscar Wilde. Directed by Marie J. Newton and Holden Stokes. Edited by Ethan Barnes and Mark James. This play has been adapted from the stage to a more modern virtual experience for your viewing pleasure. There will be a 10-minute intermission at the end of Act 2. Thank you for supporting Digital Dramatics, and please visit our website and donate to our Ko-Fi linked in the description below to continue supporting us on our projects. Happy holidays, Happy New Year, and enjoy the show. Thank you.
Is your ladyship at home this afternoon?
Oh, yes. Who is called?
Lady Darlington, milady.
Show her up. And I'm at home to anyone who calls. It's good that I should see her before tonight. I'm glad she's come.
Lady Darlington.
How do you do, Lady Windermere?
How do you do, Lady Darlington? Oh, no, I can't hug you right now. My hands are wet with these roses. Aren't they lovely? They just came in from Cape Cod this morning.
They are quite perfect. And what a wonderful fan. May I look at it?
Oh, do. Pretty, isn't it? I've only just seen it myself. It just came in this morning. It's my husband's birthday present to me. You know today is my birthday, don't you?
No, is it really?
Yes, I'm of age today. Quite an important day in my life, isn't it? That's why we're throwing this party tonight. Do sit down.
I wish I had known it was your birthday, Lady Windermere. I would have covered the entire street in front of your house with flowers for you to walk on. They are made for you.
Lady Darlington, you annoyed me last night at the Foreign Office, and I'm afraid you are going to annoy me again.
I, Lady Windermere?
Oh, put it there, Rosa. That'll do. Won't you come over, Lady Darlington?
I am quite miserable, Lady Windermere. You must tell me what I did.
Well, you kept paying me elaborate compliments the whole evening.
Well, nowadays we are all of us so hard up that the only pleasant things to pay are compliments. They are the only things we can pay.
No, I'm talking quite seriously. You mustn't laugh. I'm being quite serious. I don't like compliments, and I don't think that a woman is pleasing herself enormously by saying a bunch of things to another woman that she doesn't mean.
Oh, but I did mean them.
I should hope not. I should be sorry to have to quarrel with you, Lady Darlington. I like you very much, but I shouldn't like you at all if I thought you were what most other women are. Believe me, you are better than most other women, but sometimes I think you pretend to be worse.
Oh, well, we all have our little vanities, Lady Windermere.
Why do you make that your special one?
Nowadays, so many conceited people go about society pretending to be good that I think it shows a rather sweet and modest disposition to pretend to be bad. Besides, there is this to be said. If you pretend to be good, the world takes you very seriously. If you pretend to be bad, it doesn't. Such is the astounding stupidity of optimism.
Don't you want the world to take you seriously, Lady Darlington?
No, not the world. Who are the people the world takes seriously? All the dull people one can think of, from the bishops down to the boors. I should like you to take me very seriously, Lady Windermere. You more than anyone else in life.
Oh, why me?
Because I think we might be great friends. Let us be great friends. You might want a friend someday.
Why do you say that?
Oh, we all want friends at times.
I think we are good friends already, Lady Darlington, and we can always remain so long as you don't.
Don't what?
Don't spoil it by saying extravagant and silly things to me. You think of me as some kind of a Puritan, I suppose. Well, I have something of a Puritan in me. I was brought up like that. My mother died when I was a mere child. I lived with Lady Julia, my father's eldest sister, always. She was stern to me, but she taught me what the world is forgetting, the difference between what is right and what is wrong. She allowed of no compromise. I allow of none.
My dear Lady Windermere.
You look at me as being behind the age. Well, I am. I should be sorry to be at the same level as an age like this.
But you think the age very bad?
Nowadays, people look on life as a speculation. It is not a speculation. It is a sacrament. Its ideal is love. Its purification is sacrifice.
Oh, anything is better than being sacrificed.
Don't say that.
I do say it. I feel it. I know it.
The men want to know if they are to put the carpets on the terrace for tonight, milady.
You don't think it'll rain tonight, do you, Lady Darlington?
I won't hear of it's raining on your birthday.
Tell them to do it at once, Rosa.
Do you think, then, of course, I am only putting an imaginary instance, do you think that in the case of a young married couple, say married about 2 years, if the husband suddenly becomes the intimate friend of a woman of more than doubtful character, is always calling upon her, lunching with her, probably paying her bills, do you think that the wife should not console herself?
Console herself?
Yes, I think she should. I think she has the right.
Because the husband is vile, the wife must be vile also?
Vileness is a terrible word, Lady Windermere.
It is a terrible thing, Lady Darlington.
Do you know, I am afraid that good people do a great deal of harm in this world. Certainly the greatest harm they do is that they make badness of such extraordinary importance. It is absurd to divide people into good and bad. People are either charming or tedious. I take the side of the charming, and you, Lady Windermere, can't help belonging to them.
How, Lady Darlington? Oh, don't stir. I'm merely going to finish my flowers.
And I must say, I think you are rather hard on modern life, Lady Windermere. Of course, there is much against it, I admit. Most women, for instance, nowadays are rather mercenary.
Don't talk about such people.
Well then, setting aside mercenary people, who of course are dreadful, do you think seriously that a woman who has committed what the world calls a fault should never be forgiven?
I think they should never be forgiven.
And men? Do you think there should be the same laws for men as there are for women?
Certainly.
I think life too complex a thing to be settled by these hard and fast rules.
If we had these hard and fast rules, we should find life much more simple.
And you allow of no exceptions?
None.
What a fascinating Puritan you are, Lady Windermere.
The adjective was unnecessary, Lady Darlington.
I couldn't help it. I can resist everything except temptation.
You have the modern affectation of weakness.
It is only an affectation, Lady Windermere.
The Duchess of Berwick and Lady Agatha Carlisle.
Dear Margaret, I'm so pleased to see you. You remember Agatha, don't you? How do you do, Lady Darlington? I won't let you know my daughter. You are far too wicked.
Don't say that, Duchess. As a wicked woman, I am a complete failure. Why, there are lots of people who say I have never really done anything wrong in the whole course of my life. Of course, they only say it behind my back.
Oh, isn't she dreadful? Agatha, this is Lady Darlington, mind you. Don't believe a word she says. No tea, thank you, dear. We have just had tea at Lady Markby's. Such bad tea, too. It was quite undrinkable. I wasn't at all surprised. Her own son-in-law supplies it. Agatha is looking forward so much to your ball tonight, dear Margaret.
Oh, you mustn't think of it as a ball, Duchess. It is merely a party in honor of my birthday, a small and early.
Very small, very early, and very select, Duchess.
Of course it's going to be select, but we know that, dear Margaret, about your house. It is really one of the few houses in Cambridge where I can take Agatha and where I feel perfectly secure about dear Berwick. I don't know what society is coming to. The most dreadful people seem to go everywhere. They certainly come to my parties. The men get quite furious if one doesn't ask them. Really, someone should make a stand against it.
I will, Duchess. I won't have anyone in my house of whom there is any scandal.
Don't say that, Lady Windermere. I should never be admitted.
With women it is different. We're good. Some of us are, at least. But we're positively getting elbowed into the corner. Our husbands would really forget our existence if we didn't nag at them from time to time, just to remind them that we have a perfect legal right to do so.
It's a curious thing, Duchess, about the game of marriage, a game which is going out of fashion. The wives hold all the honors and invariably lose the odd trick.
The odd trick? Is that the husband, Lady Darlington?
Would be a rather good name for the modern husband.
Dear Lady Darlington, how thoroughly depraved you are.
Lady Darlington is trivial.
Don't say that, Lady Windermere.
Why do you talk so trivially about life then?
Because I think life far too important a thing ever to talk seriously about it.
What does she mean? Adieu, as a concession to my poor wits, Lady Darlington. Just explain to me what you really mean.
I think I had better not, Duchess. Nowadays, to be intelligible is to be found out. Goodbye. And now, Lady Windermere, goodbye. I may come tonight, mayn't I? Do let me come.
Yes, but only if you promise not to say foolish and insincere things to people.
Ah, you are beginning to reform me. It is a dangerous thing to reform anyone, Lady Windermere.
What a charming, wicked creature! I like her so much. I'm quite delighted she's gone. How sweet you're looking. Where do you get your gowns? And now, I must tell you how sorry I am for you, dear Margaret. Agatha, darling.
Yes, Mamma?
Will you go and look over the photograph album that I see there?
Yes, Mamma.
Dear girl, she is so fond of photographs of Switzerland. Such a pure taste, I think. But I really am so sorry for you, Margaret.
Why, Duchess?
Oh, on account of that horrid woman. She dresses so well, too, which makes it much worse. That's such a dreadful example. Augustus, you know my disreputable brother, such a trial to us all. Well, Augustus is completely infatuated about her. It is quite scandalous, for she is absolutely inadmissible into society. Many a woman has a past, but I am told she has at least a dozen, and that they all fit.
Whom are you talking about, Duchess?
About Mrs. Erlyn.
Mrs. Erlyn, I have never heard of her, Duchess, and what has she to do with me?
Oh, my poor child. Agatha, darling.
Yes, Mamma?
Will you go out on the terrace and look at the sunset?
Yes, Mamma.
Oh, sweet girl. So devoted to sunsets. Shows such refinement of feeling, does it not? After all, there is nothing like nature, is there?
But what is it, Duchess? Why do you talk to me about this person?
Don't you really know? I assure you, we're all so distressed about it. Only last night at dear Lady Jansen's, everyone was saying how extraordinary it was that, of all the men in Boston, Windermere should behave in such a way.
My husband. But what is he to do with a woman of that kind?
Ah, what indeed, dear? That is the point. He goes to see her continually and stops for hours at a time, and while he is there, she is not at home to anyone. Not that many ladies call on her, dear, but she has a great many disreputable men friends, my own brother particularly, as I told you. And that is what makes it so dreadful about Windermere. We looked upon him as being such a model husband, but I'm afraid there's no doubt about it. You know my nieces, the Seville girls, don't you? Such nice domestic creatures. Plain, dreadfully plain, but so good. Well, they're always at the window doing fancy work and making ugly things for the poor, which I think is so useful of them in these dreadful socialistic days. And this terrible woman has taken a house in Curzon Street, right opposite them. Such a respectable street, too. I don't know what we're coming to. And they tell me that Windermere goes there 4 and 5 times a week. They see him. They can't help it. And although they never talk scandal, they, well, of course, they remark on it to everyone. And the worst of it all is that I have been told that this woman has gotten a great deal of money out of somebody. For it seems that she came to Boston 6 months ago without anything at all to speak of. And now she has this charming house in Mayfair, drives her ponies in the park every afternoon, and all since she has known poor dear Windermere.
Oh, I can't believe it.
But it's quite true, my dear. The whole of Boston knows it. That is why I felt it was better to come and talk to you and advise you to take Windermere away at once to Cape Cod or to Martha's Vineyard, where he'll have something to amuse him and where you can watch him all day long. I assure you, my dear, that on several occasions after I was first married, I had to pretend to be very ill and was obliged to drink the most unpleasant mineral waters merely to get Berwick out of town. He was so extremely susceptible. Though I am bound to say that he never gave away any large sums of money to anybody. He is far too high-principled for that.
Duchess, it is impossible. We've only been married 2 years. Our child is but 6 months old.
Oh, the dear pretty baby. How is the little darling? Is it a boy or a girl? I hope a girl. No. I remember. It's a boy. I'm so sorry. Boys are so wicked. My boy is excessively immoral. You wouldn't believe at what hours he comes home, and he's only left Harvard a few months. I really don't know what they teach them there.
Are all men bad?
Oh, all of them, my dear, without any exception. And they never grow any better. Men become old, but they never become good.
Windermere and I married for love.
Oh, yes, dear, we begin like that. It was only Berwick's brutal and incessant threats of suicide that made me accept him at all, and before the year was out, he was running after all kinds of petticoats. Every color, every shape, every material. In fact, before the honeymoon was over, I caught him winking at my maid, a most pretty and respectable girl. I dismissed her at once without a character. No. I remember I passed her on to my sister. Poor dear Sir George is so short-sighted, I thought it wouldn't matter. But it did, though. It was most unfortunate. And now, my dear child, I must go, as we are dining out. And mind you, don't take this little aberration of Windermere's too much to heart. Just take him abroad, and he'll come back to you, all right?
Come back to me.
Yes, dear. These wicked women get our husbands away from us, but they always come back, slightly damaged, of course. And don't make scenes. Men hate them.
It is very kind of you, Duchess, to come here and tell me these things, but I can't believe that my husband has been untrue to me.
Oh, pretty child. I was like that once. Now I know that all men are monsters. The only thing to do is feed the wretches well. A good cook does wonders, and that I know you have. My dear Margaret, you are not going to cry.
Oh, no, you needn't be afraid of that, Duchess. I never cry.
That's quite right, dear. Crying is the refuge of plain women, but the ruin of pretty ones. Agatha, darling.
Yes, Mamma?
Come and bid goodbye to Lady Windermere, and thank her for your charming little visit. And by the way, I must thank you for sending a card to Mr. Hopper. He's that rich young Austrian people are taking such notice of just at present. His father made a great fortune by selling some kind of food in circular tins, most palatable, I believe. I fancy it is the thing the servants always refuse to eat. But the son is quite interesting. I think he's attracted by dear Agatha's clever talk. Of course, we should be very sorry to lose her, but I think that a mother who doesn't part with a daughter every season has no real affection. We're coming tonight, dear. And remember my advice. Take the poor fellow out of town at once. It is the only thing to do. Goodbye once more. Come, Agatha.
How horrible. I understand now what Lady Darlington meant by the imaginary circumstance of a couple not married 2 years. Oh, it can't be true. She spoke of enormous sums of money paid to this woman. I know where Arthur keeps his bank books. I might find out by that. I will find out by that. No, this is just some silly mistake, some hideous scandal. He loves me. He loves me. Why should I not look? I am his wife. I have the right to look. There we go. I knew it. There is not a word of truth to this stupid story. The second book. Private. Locked. Mrs. Erlin, $600. Mrs. Erlin, $700. Mrs. Erlin, $400. Oh, it is true. It is true. How horrible.
Well, dear, has the fan been sent home yet? Margaret, you've cut open my bank book. You have no right to do such a thing.
You think it's wrong that I found out, don't you?
I think it wrong that a wife should spy on her husband.
I did not spy on you. I never knew of this woman's existence till half an hour ago. Someone who pitied me was kind enough to tell me what everyone in Boston already knows. Your daily visits to Curzon Street, your mad infatuation, the monstrous sums of money you squander on this infamous woman.
Margaret, don't talk like that of Mrs. Erlin. You don't know how unjust it is.
Oh, you are very jealous of Mrs. Erlin's honor. I wish you were as jealous of mine.
Your honor is untouched, Margaret. You don't think for a moment that I
would think that you spend your money very strangely, that is all. Oh, and don't imagine that I mind about the money. As far as I am concerned, you can squander everything we have. What I do mind is that you who loved me, you who taught me to love you, should pass from the love that is given to the love that is bought. And it is I who feel degraded. You feel nothing. I feel stained, utterly stained. You can't imagine what the past 6 months seem to me now. Every kiss you have given me is now tainted in my memory.
Margaret, don't talk like that. I've never loved anyone in the whole world but you.
Who is this woman then, and why do you take a house for her?
I did not take a house for her.
Oh, you gave her the money to do so, which is the same thing.
Margaret, as far as I have known Mrs. Erlin...
Oh, is there a Mr. Erlin, or is he a myth?
Her husband died many years ago. She is alone in the world.
No relations?
None.
Rather curious, isn't it?
Margaret, I was saying to you, and I beg you to listen to me, that as far as I have known Mrs. Erlin...
Oh, I don't want details about her life.
I'm not going to give you any details of her life. I tell you simply this. Mrs. Erlin was once honored, loved, respected. She was well-born. She had position. She lost everything. Threw it away, if you like it. That makes it all the more bitter. Misfortunes one can endure. They come from outside. They are accidents, but to suffer for one's own faults, there is the sting of life. It was 20 years ago, too. She was little more than a girl then. She'd been a wife for even less time than you had.
I am not interested in her. And you should be careful not to mention her name and mine in the same breath. It is an error of taste.
Margaret, you could save this woman. She wants to get back into society, and she wants you to help her.
Me?
Yes, you.
How impertinent of her.
Margaret, I came to ask you a great favor, and I still ask it of you, even though you have discovered what I had intended you never should know, that I have given Mrs. Erlin a large sum of money. I want you to send her an invitation to our party tonight.
You are mad.
I entreat you. People may chatter about her, do chatter about her, of course, but they don't know anything definite against her. She has been to many houses, not to houses where you would go, I admit, but still to houses where people who are in what is called society nowadays do go. That does not content her. She wants you to receive her once.
As a triumph for her, I suppose?
No, but because she knows that you are a good woman, and that if she comes here once, she will have a chance at a happier, a surer life than what she has had. She will make no further effort to know you. Won't you help a woman who is trying to get back?
No. If a woman really repents, she never wishes to return to the society that made or saw to her ruin.
I beg of you.
I'm going to dress for dinner, and don't mention this subject again this evening. Arthur, you think because I have no father or mother that I am alone in this world, and you can treat me as you choose. But I have friends, many friends.
Margaret, you are talking foolishly, recklessly. I won't argue with you, but I insist upon your asking Mrs. Erlin tonight.
I shall do nothing of the kind.
You refuse?
Absolutely.
Margaret, do this for my sake. It is her last chance.
What has this to do with me?
How hard good women are.
How bad weak men are.
Margaret, none of us men may be good enough for the women we marry. That much is quite true. But you don't imagine I would ever... Oh, the suggestion is monstrous.
Why should you be any different from other men? I hear there's not a husband in Boston who does not waste his life over some shameful passion.
I am not one of them.
I am not sure of that.
But you are sure in your heart. But don't make chasm after chasm between us. God knows the last few minutes have thrust us wide enough apart. Sit down and write the card.
Nothing in the world would induce me.
then I will.
You were going to invite this woman?
Yes. Rosa,
Yes, my lord?
have a note sent to number 84A Curzon Street. There is no answer.
If this woman comes here tonight, I shall insult her.
Margaret, don't say that.
I mean it.
Margaret, if you did such a thing, there's not a woman in Boston who would not pity you.
There is not a good woman in Boston who would not applaud me. Oh, we have been too lax. We must set an example. I propose tonight. Yes, you gave me this fan today. It was your birthday present. If this woman crosses my threshold, I shall strike her across the face with it.
Margaret, you couldn't do such a thing.
You don't know me. Rosa,
Yes, my lady.
I shall dine in my room tonight. Oh, I don't want dinner, in fact. Oh, see that everything is ready by 10:30. And Rosa, be sure to pronounce the names of the guests very distinctly tonight. Sometimes you speak too fast and I miss them. I am particularly anxious to hear the names quite clearly so as not to make a mistake. You understand, Rosa?
Yes, my lady.
That'll do. Arthur, if this woman comes here tonight, I warn you.
Margaret, you'll ruin us.
Us! From this moment, my life is separate from yours. Oh, if you wish to avoid a public scandal, write to this woman at once and tell her I forbid her from coming here.
I will not. I cannot. She must come.
Then I shall do exactly as I said. You leave me no choice.
Margaret! Margaret! Oh, God! What shall I do? I dare not tell her who that woman really is. The shame would kill her.
So strange Lord Windermere isn't here. Mr. Hopper is very late, too. You've kept those 5 dances for him, Agatha?
Yes, Mama.
Just let me see your card. Oh, I'm so glad Lady Windermere is reviving cards. Their mother's only safeguard. Oh, you dear, simple little thing. No nice girl should ever waltz with such particularly younger sons. It looks so fast. The last 2 dances you might pass on the terrace with Mr. Hopper.
Yes, Mama.
The air is so pleasant there.
Mrs. Cowper, Lady Stutfield, Sir James Royston.
Good evening, Lady Stutfield. I suppose this will be the last party of the season.
I suppose so, Miss Dunby. It's been a delightful season, hasn't it?
Delightful, quite delightful. Good evening, Duchess. I suppose this will be the last party of the season?
Suppose so, Miss Dunby. It has been a very dull season, hasn't it?
Dreadfully dull, dreadfully dull.
Good evening, Miss Dunby. I suppose this will be the last party of the season.
Oh, I think not. There'll probably be at least 2 more.
Lady Jedburgh and Miss Graham, Mr. Hopper.
How do you do, Lady Windermere? How do you do, Duchess?
Dear Mr. Hopper, how nice of you to come so early. We all know how you are run after in Boston.
Capital place, Boston. They're not nearly so exclusive in Boston as they are in Vienna.
We know your value, Mr. Hopper. We wish there were more like you. It would make life so much easier. Do you know, Mr. Hopper, dear Agatha and I are so much interested in Austria. It must be so pretty with all the dear little kangaroos flying about. Agatha has found it on a map. What a curious shape it is, just like a large packing case. However, it is a very young country, isn't it?
Wasn't it made at the same time as all the other countries, Duchess?
Clever you are, Mr. Hopper. You have a cleverness quite of your own. Now I mustn't keep you.
But I should like to have a dance with Lady Agatha, Duchess.
Well, I hope she has a dance left. Have you a dance left, Agatha?
Yes, Mama.
The next one?
Yes, Mama.
May I have the pleasure?
Mind you, take great care of my little chatterbox, Mr. Hopper.
Margaret, I wish to speak to you.
In a moment.
Lord Augustus Lorton.
Good evening, Lady Windermere.
Sir James, will you take me into the ballroom? Augustus has been dining with us tonight. I really have had quite enough of dear Augustus for the moment.
Mr. and Mrs. Arthur Bowden, Lady Darlington.
Want to speak to you particularly, dear boy. I'm worn to a shadow. No, I don't look it. None of us men do look what we really are. Damn good thing, too. What I want to know is this. Who is she? Where does she come from? Why hasn't she got any demmed relations? Dem nuisance relations. But they make one so demmed respectable.
You are talking of Mrs. Erlin, I suppose. I've only known her 6 months. Till then, I didn't know of her existence.
You have seen a good deal of her since then.
Yes, I have seen a good deal of her since then. I have just seen her.
Egad, the women are very down on her. I have been dining with Arabella this evening. By Jove, you should have heard what she said about Mrs. Erlin. She didn't leave a rag on her. Berwick and I told her that didn't matter much, as the lady in question must have an extremely fine figure. You should have seen Arabella's expression. But look here, dear boy, I don't know what to do about Mrs. Erlin. Egad, I might be married to her, she treats me with such demmed indifference. She's deuced clever, too. She explains everything. Egad, she explains youth. She has got any amount of explanations for you, and all of them different.
No explanations are necessary about my friendship with Mrs. Erlin.
Well, look here, dear boy. Do you think she'll ever get into this demmed thing called society? Would you introduce her to your wife? No use beating about the confounded bush. Would you do that?
Mrs. Erlin is coming here tonight.
Oh, your wife has sent her a card.
Mrs. Erlin has received a card.
And she's all right, dear boy. But why didn't you tell me that before? It would have saved me a heap of worry and demmed misunderstandings.
Mr. Cecil Graham.
Good evening, Arthur. Why don't you ask me how I am? I like people to ask me how I am. It shows a widespread interest in my health. Now, tonight, I am not at all well. Been dining with my people. Wonder why it is one's people are always so tedious. My father would talk morality after dinner, and I told him he was old enough to know better. But in my experience, the second that people are old enough to know better, they suddenly don't know anything at all. Oh, hello, Tuppy. Heard you were going to be married again. Thought you were tired of that game.
You're excessively trivial, my dear boy. Excessively trivial.
By the way, Tuppy, which is it? Have you been twice married and once divorced, or twice divorced, once married? I say you've been twice divorced and once married. It seems much more probable.
I have a very bad memory. I really don't remember which.
Lord Windermere, I have something most particular to ask you.
I'm afraid, if you'll excuse me, I must attend my wife.
Oh, you mustn't dream of such a thing. It's most dangerous nowadays for a man to pay any attention to his wife in public. It always makes people think that he beats her when they're alone. Oh, the world has grown so suspicious of anything that looks like a happy married life, but I'll tell you what it is at supper.
Margaret, I wish to speak to you.
Lady Darlington, would you hold my fan for me, please? Thanks.
Margaret, what you said before dinner was, of course, impossible.
That woman is not coming here tonight.
Mrs. Erlin is coming here, and if you in any way annoy or wound her, you will bring shame and sorrow on us both. Remember that? Ah, Margaret, only trust me. A wife should trust her husband.
Boston is full of women who trust their husbands. One can always point them out. They look so thoroughly unhappy. I am not going to be one of them. Lady Darlington, could I have my fan back, please? Thanks. Useful thing, a fan, isn't it? I'm going to need a friend tonight, Lady Darlington. I didn't know I'd want one so soon.
Lady Windermere, I knew the time would come someday, but why tonight?
Oh, I will tell her. I must. It would be a shame if there were any scene. Margaret?
Mrs. Erlin.
Lady Windermere, you've dropped your fan.
How do you do again, Lord Windermere? How charming your sweet wife looks. Quite a picture.
It was terribly rash your coming here this evening.
The wisest thing I ever did in my life. By the way, you must pay me a good deal of attention this evening. I'm afraid of the women. You must introduce me to some of them. The men I can always manage. How do you do, Lord Augustus? You've quite neglected me lately. I haven't seen you since yesterday. I'm afraid you're faithless. Everyone told me so.
Not really, Mrs. Erlin. Allow me to explain.
Oh no, dear Lord Augustus. You can't explain anything. It is your chief charm.
Why, if you find charms in me, Mrs. Erlin.
How pale you look.
Cowards are always pale.
You look faint. Come out on the terrace.
Yes. Rosa, send out for my cloak, please.
Lady Windermere, how charmingly you illuminated your terraces. Reminds me of Prince Doria's at Rome. Oh, how do you do, Mr. Graham? Isn't that your aunt, Lady Jedburgh? I should so much like to know her.
Oh, certainly, if you wish it. Aunt Caroline, allow me to introduce Mrs. Erlin?
So pleased to meet you, Lady Jedburgh. Your nephew and I are great friends. I am so much interested in his political career. I think he's sure to be a wonderful success. He thinks like a radical and talks like a radical, and that is so important nowadays. He's such a brilliant talker, too, but we all know from whom he inherits that. Lord Allendale was telling me only yesterday in the park that Mr. Graham talks almost as well as his aunt.
Most kind of you to say these charming things to me.
Did you just introduce Mrs. Erlin to Lady Jedburgh?
Had to, my dear. That woman can make one do anything she wants. How? I don't know.
Hope to goodness she won't speak to me.
On Thursday? With pleasure. What a bore it is to have to be civil to these old dowagers, but they always insist on it.
Who is that well-dressed woman talking to Windermere?
I haven't got the faintest idea. Looks like an edition de luxe from a wicked French novel meant specifically for the English market.
So that is poor Dumby with Lady Plymdale. I hear she is frightfully jealous of her. She doesn't seem anxious to talk to me tonight. I think she is afraid of her. Those straw-colored women have dreadful tempers. Do you know, I think I'll dance with you first, Windermere. It will make Lord Augustus so jealous. Lord Augustus! Lord Windermere insists on my dancing with him first, and as it's his own house, I can't well refuse. You know I would much sooner dance with you.
I wish I could think so, Mrs. Erlin.
You know it far too well. I fancy a person dancing through life with you and finding it charming.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. You are the most adorable of all ladies.
What a nice speech. So simple and so sincere. Just the type of speech I like. Well, you shall hold my bouquet. Oh, Miss Dumby. How do you do? I'm so sorry I was out the last 3 times you've called. Come and lunch on Friday.
Delighted!
How absolutely wicked you are! I can never believe a word you say. Why did you tell me you didn't know her? What do you mean by calling on her 3 times running? You are not to go to lunch there. Of course you understand that.
I wouldn't dream of it, my dear.
You haven't told me her name yet. Who is she?
I believe that's one Mrs. Erlin.
That woman.
Yes, that is what everyone calls her.
How very interesting. How intensely interesting. I really must have a good stare at her. I have heard the most shocking things about her. They say she is ruining poor Windermere, and Lady Windermere, who goes in for being so proper, invites her. How extremely amusing. It takes a thoroughly good woman to do a thoroughly stupid thing. You are to go to lunch there on Friday.
Why?
Because I want you to take my husband with you. He's been so attentive lately that he's become a perfect nuisance. Now this woman is just the thing for him. He'll dance attendance upon her as long as she'll have him and won't bother me. I assure you, women of that kind are most useful. They form the basis of other people's marriages.
What a mystery you are.
I wish you were.
I am, but only to myself. See, I am the only person in the world I should like to know more thoroughly, but I don't see any chance of it just at present.
Yes, her coming here is monstrous, unbearable. I know now what you meant today at tea time. Why didn't you tell me outright? You should have.
I couldn't. A friend can't tell these things about another friend. But if I had known he was going to make you ask her here tonight, I think I would have told you. That insult, at any rate, you would have been spared.
I did not ask her here. He insisted on her coming against my entreaties, against my commands. Oh, this house is tainted for me. I feel as if every woman in here sneers at me as she dances with my husband. And what have I done to deserve this? I gave him my life, and he took it, used it, spoiled it. Oh, I am degraded in my own eyes. I am a coward.
If I know you at all, I know that you cannot live with a man who treats you like this. What sort of life would you have with him? You would feel that he was lying to you every moment of the day. You would feel that the look in his eyes was false, his voice false, his touch false, his passion false. He would come to you when he was weary of others, and you would have to comfort him. He would come to you when he was devoted to others. You would have to charm him. You would have to be to him the mask of his real life, the cloak to hide his secret.
Oh, you are right. You are terribly right. Where am I to turn? You said once you would be my friend. Tell me what to do, Lady Darlington. Be my friend.
Between women, there is no friendship possible. There is passion, enmity, worship, love, but no friendship. I love you.
No.
Yes, I love you. You are more to me than anything in the whole world. What does your husband give to you? Nothing. Whatever is in him, he gives to that wretched woman whom he has thrust into your society, into your home, to shame you before everyone. I offer you my life. My life, my whole life. Take it and do with it what you will. I love you as I have never loved any living thing. From the moment I met you, I loved you blindly, adoringly, madly. Leave this house tonight. I won't tell you that the world matters nothing, or the voice of the world, or society's voice. They matter a great deal. They matter far too much. But there are moments when one has to choose between living one's own life, fully, entirely, completely, or dragging out some false, shallow, degrading existence that the world and its hypocrisy demands. You have that moment now. Choose. Oh, my love, choose.
I have not the courage.
Yes, you have the courage. There may be 6 months of pain, of disgrace even, but when you no longer bear his name, when you bear mine, all will be well. Margaret, my love, my wife that shall be someday. Yes, my wife, you know it. Oh, it is going to be all right. What are you now? That woman has the place that belongs by right to you. Go out of this house tonight with head erect, with a smile upon your lips, with courage in your eyes. All of Massachusetts will know why you did it, and who will blame you? No one. And if they do, what matter? Wrong? What is wrong? It is wrong for a man to abandon his wife for a shameless woman. It is wrong for a wife to remain with a man who so dishonors her. You said once that you would make no compromise. Make none now. Be brave. Be yourself.
I'm afraid to be myself. Let me think. Let me wait. My husband may return to me.
And you would take him back? You are not what I thought you were. You are just the same as every other woman. You would stand anything rather than face the censure of a world whose praise you would despise. In a week, you will be driving with this woman in the park. She will be your constant guest, your dearest friend. You would endure anything rather than break with one blow this monstrous tie. You are right. Have no courage. None.
Give me time to think! I cannot answer you now.
It must be now or not at all.
Then not at all.
You break my heart.
Mine is already broken.
Tomorrow I am leaving. This is the last I shall ever look on you. You will never see me again. For one moment, our lives met, our souls touched. They shall never meet or touch again. Goodbye, Margaret.
How alone I am in life. How terribly alone.
Dear Margaret! I've just been having such a delightful chat with Mrs. Erlin. I'm so sorry for what I said to you this afternoon about her. Of course, she must be all right if you invite her. A most attractive woman and has such sensible views on life. Told me she entirely approved of people marrying more than once, so I feel quite safe about poor Augustus. Can't imagine why people speak against her. Oh, those horrid nieces of mine. You know the Seville girls? They're always talking a scandal. Still, I should go to Martha's Vineyard, dear. I really should. She is just a little too attractive. But where is Agatha? Oh, there she is. Mr. Hopper, I am very, very angry with you. You've taken Agatha out on the terrace, and she is so delicate.
Awfully sorry, Duchess. We went out for a moment, then got chatting together.
About dear Austria, I suppose.
Yes.
Agatha, darling.
Yes, Mama.
Did Mr. Hopper definitely?
Yes, Mama.
And what answer did you give him, dear child?
Yes, Mama.
My dear one, you always say the right thing. Mr. Hopper, James, Agatha has told me everything. How cleverly you have both kept your secret.
So you don't mind my taking Agatha off to Austria then, Duchess?
To Austria? Oh, don't mention that dreadful, vulgar place.
But she said she'd like to come with me.
Did you say that, Agatha?
Yes, Mama.
Agatha, you say the most silly things possible. I think on the whole that Melrose would be a more healthy place to reside in. There are lots of vulgar people live in Melrose, but at any rate there are no horrid kangaroos crawling about. But we'll talk about that tomorrow. James, you can take Agatha down. Oh, and you'll come to lunch, of course, James, at 1:30 instead of 2. The Duke will wish to say a few words to you, I am sure.
I should like to have a chat with the Duke, Duchess. He hasn't said a single word to me yet.
I think you'll find he will have a great deal to say to you tomorrow. And now, good night, Margaret. I'm afraid it's the old story, dear. Love, well, not love at first sight, but love at the end of the season, which I think is so much more satisfactory.
Good night, Duchess.
My dear Margaret, what a handsome woman your husband has been dancing with. I should be quite jealous if I were you. Is he a great friend of yours?
No!
Really? Good night, dear.
Awful manners young Hopper has.
Hopper is one of nature's gentlemen, the worst kind of gentleman I know.
Clever woman, Lady Windermere. Lots of wives would have an issue with Mrs. Erlin coming, but Lady Windermere has that uncommon thing called common sense.
Yes, and dear Windermere knows that nothing looks so much like innocence as an indiscretion.
Dear Windermere is becoming almost modern. Never thought it would happen.
Good night, Lady Windermere. What a fascinating woman Miss Erlin is. She is coming to lunch on Thursday. Won't you come too? I'm expecting the Bishop and dear Lady Merton.
I'm afraid I'm engaged, Lady Jedburgh.
So sorry. Come, dear.
Charming party it has been. Quite reminds me of the old days. And I see there are just as many fools in society as there used to be. So pleased to see that nothing has altered. Except Margaret. She's grown quite pretty. The last time I saw her 20 years ago, she was a fright in flannel. Positive fright, I assure you. The dear Duchess and the sweet Lady Agatha. Just the type of girl I like. Well, really, Windermere, if I am to be the Duchess's sister-in-law.
Oh, but are you?
Oh, yes. He's to call on me tomorrow at 12 o'clock. He wanted to propose tonight. In fact, he did. He kept on proposing. Poor Augustus, you know how he repeats himself. Such a bad habit. But I told him I wouldn't give him an answer till tomorrow. Of course, I'm going to take him. And I dare say I'll make him an admirable wife, as wives go. And there's a great deal of good in Lord Augustus. Fortunately, it's all on the surface, just where good qualities should be. Of course, you must help me in this matter.
I am not called upon to encourage Lord Augustus, I suppose.
Oh no, I do the encouraging. But you will make me a handsome settlement, Windermere, won't you?
Is that what you wish to talk to me about tonight?
Yes.
Well, I will not talk of it here.
Then we shall talk of it on the terrace. Even business should have a picturesque background, should it not, Windermere? With the proper background, women can do anything.
Won't tomorrow do as well?
No. You see, tomorrow I'm going to accept him. And I think it would be a good thing if I were able to tell him I had, what shall I say, $2,000 a year left to me by some third cousin or second husband or some distant relative of that kind. It would be an additional attraction, wouldn't it? You have the delightful opportunity now of paying me a compliment, Windermere. But you are not very clever at paying compliments. I'm afraid Margaret doesn't encourage you in that excellent habit. It's a great mistake on her part. When men give up saying what is charming, they give up thinking what is charming. But seriously, what do you say to 2,000? 2,500, I think. In modern life, margin is everything. Windermere, don't you think the world an intensely amusing place? I do.
To stay in this house any longer is impossible. Tonight, a woman who loves me offered me her life. And I refused it. Oh, it was foolish of me. I will offer her mine back. I will give her mine. I will go to her. I will go to her. Arthur has never understood me. When he reads this letter, he will. He is now free to do what he wants with his life. I'm doing with mine what I think is best, what I think is right. It is he who has broken the bond of marriage, not I. I only break its bondage.
Is Lady Windermere in the ballroom?
Her ladyship has gone out.
Gone out? She is not on the terrace.
No, madam. Her ladyship has gone out of the house.
Out of the house?
Yes, madam. Her ladyship told me she left a letter for his lordship on the table.
A letter for Lord Windermere?
Yes, madam.
Thank you. Gone out of her house? A letter addressed to her husband? Oh no. It would be impossible. Life does not repeat its tragedies like this. Oh, why do I suddenly have this fancy come across me? Why do I now remember the one moment in my life I most wish to forget? Does life repeat its tragedies? Oh, how terrible. The same words that 20 years ago I wrote to her father, and how bitterly I have been punished for it. No, my punishment, my real punishment is tonight, is now.
Have you said goodnight to my wife?
Yes.
Where is she?
She is tired. She has gone to bed. She said she had a headache.
I must go to her. You'll excuse me.
No! It's nothing serious. She's only very tired, that's all. Besides, there are people still in the supper room. She wants you to pay them her apologies, and she said she didn't wish to be disturbed. She asked me to tell you.
You have dropped something.
Yes, thank you, that is mine.
But that's my wife's handwriting, isn't it?
Yes. It's an address. Will you ask them to call my carriage, please?
Certainly.
Thank you. Oh, what can I do? What can I do? I feel this passion awaken in me that I have never felt before. What can it mean? The daughter must not be like the mother. That would be terrible. How can I save her? How can I save my child? A moment may ruin a life. Who knows that better than I? Windermere must be gotten out of this house. That is absolutely necessary. But how will I do it? It must be done somehow. Ah!
Dear lady, I am in such suspense. May I not have an answer to my request?
Lord Augustus! Listen to me. You are to take Lord Windermere down to your club and do not let him come back tonight. You understand?
You said you wished me to keep early hours.
Do what I tell you! Do what I tell you.
And my reward?
Your reward? Your reward? Oh, ask me tomorrow. But do not let Lord Windermere out of your sight tonight. If you do, I will never forgive you. I will never speak to you again. I will have nothing to do with you. Take Lord Windermere down to your club and do not let him come back tonight.
Well, really, I might be her husband already. Positively, I might.